Hello guys, welcome to another video, and in today's video I'm just going to be covering a little bit on the wiring. I know this one is a bit of a, look at it, it's an absolute nightmare. I hate the wiring stage. Knowing where you want everything and what you want at this stage can be quite challenging. So I'm just going to show you through basically what I did, where I've put my wire in, what I'm going to be powering, and ways that might make it a little bit easier to work out how you're going to do the wiring and where you're going to do it. So I'll run through the basics of that and move through each stage of the van and see if it simplifies things a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't look like this for much longer because I'm fed up of looking at it like this. Okay, so I've just got a little drawing here of basically how I'm going to work out where I want my wiring. So as you can see, I've just labelled front, rear, and I've split the walls of the van into 6 sections. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Working out what surfaces I want where now, and just working out sort of as a first fix what cable I want in each area. So the way I've done this is I'm making sure that all of my wiring coming from any of these is going all the way back to here, because at the bottom under the bed in this area is where I want all of my electrics to come out. Now some of you might be thinking, well, what about all your switched electrics and lights and stuff like that? Well, I've actually ordered, I'll put a little picture up in the corner, I've ordered an aux beam panel. So the aux beam panel, I can actually fit the fuse box down here and then only run one cable up to where I want to control all my services from, rather than having switches all over the place. So here we have number 1. So number 1, and I've just marked what services I want. So I want a 240 volt heater. So we're having a Truma boiler, and the Truma boiler you can connect to mains hookup as well as running it on 12 volt and gas. So what I'll do is run a 2.5mm Arctic cable in, which will go to the back, so when we're on hookup the heater can run off of 240 volt if you want it to. 240 volt socket, just a normal 240 volt domestic socket that you would have at home, again in space number 1 in that area. So I need to run 2 times 2.5mm Arctic cable. This is actually to power the Truma boiler, so 12 volt heater, 6mm cable, 12 volt sockets and USB sockets, which are going to be under the bench seat, 2.5mm, so I'll run 1 or 2 of those, and the cupboard lights, 1.5mm. So for that area I want to run all of those cables from here through and across and down, or across this way and across and down, whichever's easiest. So that's it for number 1. Number 2, bathroom light, bathroom fan, TV socket. Number 3, bedroom lights, socket and pump. Number 4, 25mm cable times 2 for the charger. So this is the DC to DC charger, which comes from your alternator or your starter battery and goes to your leisure battery to charge it. So I've put it in this area because I need to run the cables from here. So they need to go from here and they need to go right across to the back. So all the electric services will be at the back in number 6. And then we've got 12 volt lights for the step, awning light, and a D+ wire, which is basically what tells your DC to DC charger when your alternator is running. So you need that cable to basically tell it when to turn on and off. Number 5, I have 240 volt socket, 2.5mm, 12 volt socket, 2.5mm, 12 volt lights top, which are going to be in the cupboard, 12 volt lights bottom because I want some under the kitchen, and the 12 volt fridge, 6mm. Number 6, I've got 12 volt socket bedroom, 12 volt light bedroom, 240 volt socket, 2.5mm, and then I've just added that one extra as the ceiling, so 12 volt spotlights in 1.5mm cable, and the roof fans in 1.5mm cable. So just running all the cables through the channels in behind. You can use a cable runner, you can use cable rods. Obviously wiring and insulation sort of comes together at this stage. So getting the cable through the conduit after is very difficult. I always found if you actually bend the end of the wire over and put a bit of insulation tape around it, that was normally the best way to push it through in a oneer, but it was hard with the smaller cables. So if you can run the smaller cables in multiples, it's much easier. And you've just got to remember as well, you can't put too many cables in behind. If you put a few too many cables in, it doesn't really matter, you can just have them there as spares. So we'll start from number 1. This is relating to the front part of the van, where the bench seat would be, or 240 volt heater supply. So I've got 2 Arctic cables here. They're labelled up. Make sure you label everything. It's so important to label everything. And also any cables you're running through, see all this blue stuff that's come off? That's actually come off the cables because it's sharpened behind the panels. So I've got conduit running from there, and it comes up, and then it goes out through here, and then it comes across, and then it comes down through here, and then it goes right across all the way to the back. Then we also have the 6mm cable for the heater, 2.5 for the sockets. That's a neutral for the heater. That's a positive and negative for the sockets. And then up here, this is going to be for the cupboard light. So that's that area done. Now the hardest part is getting the cables through the wall, and I know I don't actually need to do this, because a lot of people, what they do, they say they don't want their cables behind the panels. They would rather build everything and run the wiring loom in the cupboards, so that if you ever need to get to them or change something, you can. Well, in my head, I think it's better to get all the cables in behind here, make sure they're all covered up and you've got conduit over all of them so they're all protected. And if you ever do get an issue with them and they stop working for whatever reason, then you can always run one in the future and you've just got less cables to deal with in your cupboards. Let's move on to number 2. So number 2 is relating to this part of the van, and we have bathroom light, which is this cable here. We have the bedroom light here, and we have the cables for a TV socket. Now if you're struggling, little tip, if you're struggling to run these cables in and you can't fit any more cables through, you can always use a negative point on the van. So there's one there. You can always make them yourself. You could always clean this up, put a bolt through it and put your neutrals on there if need be. Because it is hard to get all these cables through. It's actually amazing how many cables there are once you start running them. So that's that area. Number 3, you've got bedroom lights. I've got bedroom lights further over this way because that's where I'm going to do the wiring for the lights, because you've got, this is basically where the start of the bed is over here and it's going to end all the way over here. So I've got the bedroom lights lined up over this way. And then you've got 12 volt socket, so this is going to be the socket in the bedroom. I've had to drill a little hole to come in here because you can't access it from the top because there's 2 skins. So I've come in through the bottom, done a little hole there, and then we can have our sockets just under the windowsill. And then we've got pump electrics down there as well. Come to this side, which would be number 4. So I've got my 2 25mm cables for the DC to DC charger. They come down, they go all the way through under the seat, and that's going to feed into the starter battery. Awning light cables up here come across. We've got, so my kitchen lights, so I've got kitchen light here, and down here I've got some 1.5mm 4-core cable, so I could run 2 services with 1 cable, and it's already insulated. I've got switch LED lower, plus and minus. So basically I'm going to have a switch up here I'm going to have two switches. One's for the LED lights that will be under the kitchen, and the other will be for the kitchen lights. So I'll have a set of two sockets here, double gang sockets here, and these two cables will go to the socket, these two cables will go to the switch, and then these cables will go down and I'll tap into here, and this is where I'll connect the LED up with these two down here. So I'm going from the switch down to the lights, and that will then be switched. We've got sockets for the kitchen. We've got the 6mm cable for the fridge, and we come to here. I'm actually going to put a dimmer switch in here for the bedroom lights. So again, coming to the end of where the overhead cupboard's going to be in the bedroom, and I'm going to put a dimmer switch probably up into the bottom of the cabinet, and then I'll board that in, and then we'll have a dimmer switch. So I've actually connected the lights from both sides. So the bedroom light this side, bedroom light this side, which is coming through these cables to go to a switch, the dimmer switch, and then another 12-volt socket here, the other side of the bedroom, and everything coming out down here. So if anyone's trying to run cables in this van, you can get them through here, across, up, and then it comes out here. It's double skinned, so it's quite hard to get through, but once you do get it through, you can fit quite a large amount of cables. Again, making sure all the cables are covered on any sharp edges with either conduit, or if you can't get conduit through, use something like this, like a cable tidy kit, just to stop the cables from scrubbing on anything. So I'm just now putting the vapour barrier back over all of the wiring and tucking it all in, getting the insulation in behind the panels and get it all ready, tucked away. I know I've compressed this into a sort of 10-minute or so long video, but honestly this stage took me a while. It took a good couple of days at least, which in my world is a couple of weeks, because time is quite difficult to get on the van. So it does take a lot of time. Don't let it stress you out too much. Just make sure you get enough cables in where you need them. I'm going to end the video here for the first fix, and then I will make a separate video for sort of the second fix / next stage. Otherwise I'll have one video that's 40 minutes long. If you guys have any questions, please put them down in the comments and let me know what you thought. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.